notes, and I'm also going to start my AI companion. So welcome everyone, and it's so good to see you. And wherever you are in the world, here it's hot again, so it's great. It's climate change, and but that's okay. We're here to share a little bit more about what we can do as elders for all kinds of things that the challenges that we're facing right now. So, today we're going to talk about storytelling, and I did already see in some of the projects or some of the profiles that there were some people already, very interested or busy with storytelling and things like that. So, we love to hear more about that a little later. And we have a special welcome for Mama Yvonne Game from South Africa, who is, as I believe, one of my favorite storytellers. So she is going to share her story in a little while. So I am going to share my screen. And last time already, and some of you know or don't know, let me just go to yes, this is the one I'm looking for, is Wize Move Society that is hosting this webinar is going through a transition, and that is inspired by one of the roundtables we had a year and a half ago. Let our collective wisdom contribute to global change. And we're more and more focused on what can the elders bring to the world, bring into the world. What kind of message can we share? What is what are we really good at, and how can we maybe improve ourselves a little bit so that we can have more impact? So, 5 rules, 1 mission, the storyteller. Just a little bit of what we also shared last time. The world we're living in, yes, it's the moment in time is a lot of chaos. And what do we need? Not answers, but wisdom. Not certainty, but pattern recognition. Not power, but the moral courage that comes from having lived enough to know what truly matters. And yeah, this moment in history is calling for our elders. Who are the elders? There's still a lot of conversation going on around what is an elder and who are they, and the definition. For me, it is those who bring knowledge, lived experience, and wisdom from age to calling. So it's not age related, it's not a demographic, but it's a role earned, not given. Wize Move Society, yes, what do we need right now? A sense of urgency. And I cannot say it enough, in all the whatever organization that I'm speaking to, speaking with, or speaking about, we need a sense of urgency. And, the thing is, something that we experience, for instance, when Corona hit us, when COVID hit us, there was this thing happening. And a lot of people immediately came, on their feet, and a lot of things were happening. And that's a little bit the urgency that we need right now as well. So, why? Because we need to rise above the noise. We need to rise above the chaos and together move humanity forward. So, it is our mission to let our collective wisdom contribute to global change, and global change is important right now. We can try to do it alone, but doing it together, collective wisdom, is a lot more fun. And there's so much wisdom, and if we use that wisdom of everyone, we can accomplish so much more. So within the new way of Wize Move Society, looking at the role of the elders in this to make that mission happen, we defined 5 roles. Just short, the storyteller, the carriers of memories and meaning in a world drowning in information but starving for meaning. Stories are how wisdom travels across time. They keep alive what must not be forgotten. The mentors, that's the second role. So storytellers, mentors, those who walk alongside. So not telling younger generations or others what to do, but offering the questions, the perspective, and the patience that comes from having truly lived. The bridge builders, those who connect across divides, not going deeper into that right now. The healers of people carrying pain, loneliness, trauma, etc., etc., but also healing the planets. And the leaders stepping forward with moral courage, long game thinking, and nothing left to prove. Not the old model of hierarchical, yes, that's a difficult word, power, but the authority that comes from genuine wisdom earned through a life fully lived. So that's the 5 roles. And actually, also in the conversations that we do weekly in our Wisdom Well, so every Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. CEST, the members come together and we already talk a lot about what we see and what we see happening and how we can step in. And we said, okay, it's not just 5 roles. The elder has it all. So what do we do today? So discover the 5 roles in the elder who is ready to step forward, and they may prefer a specific role, but they actually bring it all. And we really believe that the storytelling is where it all comes together. You need that actually in all those 5 roles, the 4 other roles. And to understand the importance of the stories of the elders and discovering the way how to unlock these stories. We need it. And I really believe, and that is why I really think it's fantastic that Mami Van is here today, especially in parts of the world like in Europe, in the United States, Canada. We lost that thing, that the connection with our roots, the connection with our stories. So it would really be great if we can really learn to bring that again. So, do you as an elder have what it takes? Because most of you I recognize as being part of the elders. What would be the role you would be aligned with most, out of the 5? Because one is probably more there than some of the others. Do you recognize the other roles in who you are today? Probably. And how important is your story in the role you can offer? And what we have been doing the last week, the last couple of weeks, is actually we designed an elder profile. And it's really, really fantastic to see. And also, Clara and Patty and, the Wisdom Well on Tuesdays, we talked about it a lot. We had some kind of tool and we really didn't feel comfortable. It was so not us. So we said, okay, so if we can do something, if we want a tool, if we want to show people where they are right now, we can design it ourselves. And thanks to Claude, if you put in the right information, then it can design a lot. So here, the profile, it is still in a draft phase, so it can change over the coming weeks. But you see here the storyteller in the middle, and then here the mentor, the bridge builder, the healer, and the leader. And what we did is, together, when we talk about the storyteller, then they answer just a couple of, well, not so much questions, but it's more words and how they connect with that word. And then you see how automatically that profile exists. So here, the leader, this person is much more the leader, recognizes the leader in himself, and a little bit less the healer. But that comes all from the questions being answered. So you already see that here, the mentor, 63%, bridge builder, 69%. So this will be launched in a couple of weeks, and really exciting because I already did some tests with some people, and you really see that they recognize their profile in what the outcome is. Anyone who likes to share that you feel like this is if I look at those 5 roles, the storytelling is really my thing, or leadership or bridge builder. Anyone who wants to jump in? Just open your mic. Oh, okay. I
This
was
is
looking at.
impressive. Great.
You like it?
I
Yeah, it's
agree,
kind of
Donna.
interesting. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 kind of like those tools that you figure, you ask a few questions and it gives you some feedback. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And this is going to be made available for everyone. So we really have to make look at all the details again, and then I think we can launch it. But I really like it, and it's really very simple. With one of the questions, then it just shifts an arrow, up and down, and you immediately see that that the profile changes. Yeah, really happy with that. Ah, yes, thank you, Claude and Clara. It is so amazing that I love you using AI, as far as a tool, and we can use it for things like this, but it still comes to, what are you going to put in? And I really believe that also from the elders, our power is that human aspect that we can bring in. So I was really happy with the outcome of this profile tool. Okay, let's move to the art of storytelling. In a world drowning in information but starving for meaning, stories are used to let wisdom travel across time. They keep alive what must not be forgotten. And I love it that I already started a new podcast series also on the wisdom of the elders. And their storytelling is also a very important aspect. And you already see that the first podcast that was recorded was by Mama Yvonne. So we published that last week. And or the week before. Last week it was Monique from the Netherlands. And they move into that conversation from their background, from their perspective. And I really loved also the way that Monique looked at what is who is the elder, but also very important, what is that power of storytelling? Why is storytelling so important? And what she mentioned is we can learn from concepts, but then you stay in your head. If you listen to a story, there is an awakening and you relate to it, your own situation. Yeah, the moment that you feel, yes, that's me, they're talking about me. The storyteller moves into the depth of life. They own the wisdom of the heart. We need to be in contact with the heart. The heart is connected with our soul, and soul is about consciousness. It talks in images, talking in symbols or metaphors is what drives the awakening, what makes your unconscious conscious. So I really invite you to listen to that podcast. It's really fantastic. And from her background, she has that different interpretation of what that storytelling is. So, Monique, yes, and this is more also Mama Yvonne. Stories are in our DNA. It shapes who we are. We believe in the power of stories as a divine gift, a universal right, a heritage passed down from generation to generation. And what I love, well, Sabine also mentioned that my husband Peter is right now in Tanzania, and he's having the time of his life. He's there to work, yes, he says so, but he did this great tour, a safari on last Saturday, and he took a lot of pictures. That was a one of the areas where there were a lot of elephants. And he took a lot of pictures and videos of the elephants at the watering hole. And that is actually a story that also during the round table a year and a half ago, Beth Hancock told us about the matriarch and what is happening at the watering hole. So all these elephants coming together, the matriarch having all the knowledge, knowing where all the watering holes are, but also the place where, yes, she teaches the next generation in how to move forward. So I was really happy that I saw all this coming to life. Okay, stories are more than memory; it carries meaning. Build bridges between the past and the present. It builds bridges between what was endured and what was learned. between the generation that lived through something and the generation that must be ready when something like it comes again. So that was me. So I love to hear from you. So first about the stories, and I'm going to close this presentation. What do you think a story consists of? What needs to be in that story? And what would be a powerful message coming from the story? So I'm going to stop sharing. What do you think is important? Hi, Richard. Um, what is important aspect of a story, a good story? And you can just open your mic and share.
Like that we can change sometimes the perception. Like I used a lot of storytelling when I was a social worker because when people would come in and tell me their story, I like to retell their story with them being more the victor, where I see them standing than being the victim. And it's the same story, it's the same, the same, all the facts are the same, but it's just a different perspective. So I
Mhm.
think the story really brings out different perspectives.
Okay,
And
thank you.
imagery, the use of sorry, Ingrid, did you want to follow up
No,
on
jump
that?
in, jump
Yeah.
in.
The use of imagery, I think, really plays a strong role in storytelling. Yeah.
Can you build on that a
Well,
little bit?
I think of, I think you've heard me share the story about why I in my workshops and trainings, and I do the zebra shake. But leading up to the zebra shake is a story of, you know, the zebras, a herd of zebras on the savannah, and a lion is creeping up looking for, so you kind of get people
Yes.
seeing it, not just hearing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mary Jane. Donna?
So I'm a little caught up in trying to identify purpose of a story because I feel
Mhm.
like there are different purposes. So
Mhm.
depending on what you're trying to convey or, the messaging would be, whether it's a message, I just took some notes, whether or not it's just an icebreaker, you're meeting people, it's kind of people talk and talk about just a story just to break the ice if things are kind of quiet. A story can be you're meeting people for the first time or getting to know each other. You give a story so that it gives you a better sense of who you are and you listen. I, it's just to me, the purposes may be very different depending. And so I don't know if there's like one answer to say, it has to be this or that or whatever. I,
Yeah.
I, I think I think there's storytelling is one of passing on heritage, passing on stories of your growing up to your children. Who's your audience? There's like a bunch of things that have to be considered. That's kind of my initial thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Anyone who wants to jump in?
Um, I
Yeah.
I thought when Mary was saying something about the how to visualize it, if you can, I always think about when you tell something, when you want to convey something, think about not telling but showing, so
Mm.
that people can make a picture. If that's, I mean, it's what you said, but that's what comes up for me. And the other thing I was thinking about is what's relatable for all of us,
Mm-hmm.
the things we have in common. Because sometimes we get to a place where we think about how different we are, the othering, but we have so much in common as people on this planet. Yeah, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I want to say that in the work that I do, intergenerational storytelling is essential in in showing and expressing things that have happened. And every story, it doesn't matter if it's still got the same storyline. It is the person that is telling the story or sharing the story, how they share it, and how it is looked at by the audience that
Mhm.
gives it a different focus or a different intention. And so it doesn't matter, and sitting on, around with different generations, they tell the same story, but the nuances and how they tell it is just so different, and it gives a different perspective every time.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you, Clara.
Can jump in, Ingun?
Yes, Richard, of course.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I joined a bit late. And for me, storytelling, especially given the people that we work with, the older people, our goal is one as we tell a story, is to reach their hearts. We want to reach their hearts. What's the intention of doing that? Is to create the correct perception, the correct perspective. And so that's being the goal, then we have different ways of telling a story. You can tell a story verbally. You can tell a story through a written piece of message. And like someone said earlier, you can also tell a story using imagery. So whichever works best for the audience that you are talking to, as long as it will touch their hearts, because when it does touch their hearts, then yes, it will move the whole person in them. The perspective will be changed, especially for the purpose for which the story is intended. So that's our goal, really, as we tell stories with older people.
Mhm. Yeah. You really touch someone, and yeah, touch the heart. And there's soul, what Monique also mentioned. Um, I was thinking about, if you look at TEDx talks, they often, very often start with their own story. So they don't really start with facts and figures and, I have proven, blah, blah, blah. But it is their own story. Why are they doing what they're doing? Yeah, of what they have, maybe a trauma or maybe so that is, for people so, you immediately get that connection and you want to hear more, tell me more, tell me more. And then slowly it moves into the facts and the figures and what they've done, maybe some build something or whatever. Some other, I started this morning in a new book. Oh, you cannot see it. Brene Brown,
Oh, yeah.
Strong Grounds. It's the newest Brene Brown. And I don't know how many pages I have read already. She is completely stuck in her own, well, stuck. She's still sharing her own story. There's nothing about what that you feel like where is this going? But she's still in that, and also in the other books that I've read from her, but also in the things that we see on YouTube, for instance, the videos that she makes. She always starts with a story. Yeah.
Do you know the way that she writes her books, the way that she writes her information? She has a magnificent way of doing it because she's not sure about what she wants to write. So she takes her girlfriends away on holiday and she talks her story. They
Mm.
write. They then give her
Oh, yeah.
everything and she goes and transcribes it, brings it back to them so that they can edit. That's her writing process. Lots of laughter, lots of fun, whatever, but that gives her the confidence to be able to go ahead and say and do what she does. I think it's absolutely
Uh,
amazing.
Yeah.
mm.
I can imagine, and especially also because she does say she doesn't have a lot of confidence. She writes about it. She studies it. She studies already for a long time, but she doesn't have that confidence. Yeah, and it's really amazing. I always remember that story of, she and her husband swimming, to the other side of whatever, coming back and always thinking about, this is what he thinks or this is how he and blah, 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 blah. And never really asking and never really, moving into that conversation. So there were really two souls swimming and not really connected. But she has a lot of those stories. And I didn't notice that Clara, and I can imagine that for her, that would be a great, great way of sharing those stories. Yeah. Sabine, do you use storytelling?
I think subconsciously I do. I also teach, and then I tell stories on examples to link the theory to practice. And I find that that's usually what makes it stick. And I also ask people to tell their stories and share those. So, and I think that's what you mentioned earlier is like making the connection and making it really to captivate or internalize a concept, let's say. So, but I actually I was intrigued by the topic, so that's why I enrolled, and I feel this is something that's on my path, and I want to do more with it. So yeah, well, uh, but subconsciously listening to you all, I think I am actually already doing it to some extent. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
But it's nice to be inspired with what you say because I do note things down here like, oh yeah, that's good. So yeah.
And you have
Yeah,
more
and
than one story, it's not just one story. It is so many stories that you can use. And there was this moment that I started talking about the storytelling, and I thought, well, there's so many moments that it pops up. And I think, I really have to write it down immediately because there is so much wisdom there that you can share. Yeah. Richard?
yeah, and I do agree with Sabine a great deal as a teacher. I also do something very close to teaching. I'm a public speaker, and usually I speak on different themes, different times. And depending on the theme, sometimes you choose a story that you want to introduce your theme through. And you choose a story that essentially you want it to capture your audience from the beginning and walk along with them right through your discussion. And in the middle of the discussion, again, you still have little stories to tell, sometimes to drive the point home, sometimes to just make sure you don't lose your audience as you go along. So, yeah, I share that perspective with Sabine as well.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you think that you're the only one going through something, while there are so many others who experience the same thing, but don't know how to deal with it. And your experience, your story, how you dealt with it, but also, and this afternoon I had lunch with someone who beginning 60s, um, lost her job, VP, customer worldwide clients, whatever, a very good position she had. And suddenly, January 6th, they told her that that was it, completely unexpected, completely falling into a gap, trying to hold on, trying to solve, and so now after half a year, um, she fixed a lot. But there is also at the same time, there's burnout kind of things that are happening to her, and she still has not really dealt with what really happened there. And she said, I'm thinking more and more about it. And she said, I'm actually now also writing it down because I really think that what I have experienced now the last 6 months, and I'm still not there, but this is a wise lesson for many, many other people. So yeah, that is how you can hold on to that story. But also from your youth, there's things that happened in our youth. And last time in a specific group here at Wize Move, I told about my situation, middle daughter, narcissistic father, all these things that more of us experience. it took me quite a while to really figure out what was going on. It took me really quite a while. So that as well, that it can inspire people, give people hope. So much can come out of that story. Yeah. I see that Mommy Von is on and off, so let's hope that she will be able to share her story in a little while. And maybe, yes, she's here. Um,
Yeah. I
well,
have
maybe,
no,
yeah, maybe
I've
Mommy,
no, I have no idea what happened. It lost the connection, but yeah, my husband just helped me to reconnect. I hope we can hear each other.
yes, well, we can certainly hear you, so that is important.
It's meant to happen no matter what.
Yes, good. Well, what I'm going to do now that you are here and that we have a good connection, I am going to ask you to share your story. Well, we mentioned, 5 to 7 minutes. So I said it's up to you which story you're going to share. You also have so many stories. And what I just wanted to share, I love it that Mommy Yvonne is here because I really, really believe that the African ladies, and yes, it's very generalized, they are closer to their roots. Their stories are so much more ingrained in history, in culture, in all these things that have happened in the past and are so worthwhile talking about it for the younger generations. So, Mommy Von, I'm going to share the floor with you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. It's only a pleasure to be together. That's what storytelling is about. It's that campfire. And the story that I'd like to share, Ingen, is my childhood story, because that's where most of us either are scared to look at who we are, where we come from, and how we got where we are. In my journey, I've learned something very special about continuing to share my child story. And I think I noted something that I'd like you to take with you. It's because they're just deciding to move on. It is also untangling beliefs you learned before you had words for them. This is how love looks. This is what I'm worth. This is what is safe today. So in my journey, I've reflected a lot, being raised by a village as an African child with the grandmothers, and everyone was your grandmother, your grandfather, and your parent, and they shared stories, stories that captured values, that captures wisdom. And the outstanding thing that I learned about that is that when you share wisdom, here's something special that happens. You also open up to those you're sharing your story with. You are vulnerable that this is how I got tested in my journey. These are the mistakes that I made. This is what I learned, but also these are the good and the great things that I enjoyed. So, in short, then my childhood it brings all of it. Being born in South Africa, born in Africa at large, and come from a very, very big family. My mother was so strong in her faith, and she gave birth to 11 children, and I'm number 9 of that. So from my childhood already, I guess also even just as a baby, I learned to master unity in diversity because we are so many, but so unique and so different. And there's something positive about it is that I learned to value who I am, to believe in myself, and to love my sisters. We only had one brother, and my brother, just from who they are. And I find that in today's life, that makes it very easy for me to adapt and to be agile and to respond positively even to those who are different from who I am. I also learned from my childhood honesty and truth, because imagine when there's so many of you and you would go to my mom and say, okay, Zadele, that's my younger sister. She loves cooking, but when it's time for dishwashing, she always has a headache and all of that. And we observed the wisdom because our parents taught us not so much in words, but through action. And all what my mother would do would go to Zanele and say, oh, I hear you're always sick during dishwashing time. And that's what Yvonne Obusisiwe is saying. And of course, that would be so embarrassing. And what does it do to you as a child? You stop gossiping, you stop talking behind others. And because there were so many of us, one other outstanding thing that I learned in my childhood was sharing. Sometimes there would be just one loaf of bread. And during those times when the economy wasn't so good and our parents were working very hard, so sharing and being honest, satisfied with what you have. You don't see as a bag of oranges, then let and I feel like having six. A positive thing that I learned in my childhood. But I guess because my mother lost four sisters and they died in their infancy, out of the goodness of my mother, she just decided that let me take this one and I'm be number nine. And she gave me a different name. My mom named me Yvonne, and my grandmother decided to say that's Busisi, a blessing. And I want to pray for this little so that I should stop their infancy. And that was a blessing, a beautiful gift from my gogo, because then death stopped. Just something which is what I've already shared, that sometimes we are tangled by things that happened not even to us, but through us during our childhood. And because my gogo did not have an opportunity to read books, to watch television, or listen to radio, so she used poetry, songs, and storytelling to share knowledge, to share skills, to share experiences, the values, and everything that she wanted us to learn. And I was still very young, I think at the age of 5. So we're sitting around the campfire, and Gogo was telling these lovely stories. And Yvonne Busisiwe loved that I was swinging in a box until that box sitting inside the Gogo was just so anxious that what am I going to say to her parents and so on. And you can imagine what is the reaction. Hey, what are you doing?
Yvonne, the connection is really, really bad right now. Yvonne? Okay. And she's gone. Yeah. Oh no, she's not gone, but yeah. Yeah, that's too bad. Anyone who wants to share, I think we got a little bit, especially not now so much about the story, but about the storyteller. what are the things that you feel like what Mommy Van has and maybe I don't?
Well, I know when I went through open heart surgery, I started reading Mommy Vaughn's book before I went through open heart surgery. And then I had to stop for some reason. But after I had my surgery, her story made such a difference in my healing. That's always my Mommy Vaughn. I love her.
Yes. Hey, so sorry. I don't know what's happening with the network today, but that's part of the learning because sometimes your intentions and your plans don't go the way you are. But that was my learning also in my childhood that because my mom had so much faith that to keep calm, this too shall pass and things will be okay. And that's what I did when we got cut off for reasons that I do not understand. But as I was sharing, is that, upon reflection, is that also when we share beyond our scars, we save other lives and we're helping other people who are stuck in their childhood pain. And there are so many childhood pain. Some people have been through the worst sexual abuse by the people they trust, the uncles, the brothers. And once you share that story, you are giving others the opportunity either to heal just from listening from your own story or to be able to share their own stories. So that was a great thing. It does look like, when you come from this big family, which is not even so resourceful, and there's just something extraordinary I'd like to share, which is also something I learned from being my parents' daughter and from being daughter number 9, that my mom had so much faith and she was steadfast in everything that she did. And that is why her belief that my girls will be okay. I don't have resources, but if I give them the faith, the education, the love, and the values, they will make a greater tomorrow. So apparently my sisters were not so impressed when my mom went to baby number 11. Neither were the doctors. They did advise that, you might be carrying someone who might be a Mongol here, and there might be all sorts of complications. What if your uterus also can't carry anymore? There's so much danger, but we are willing to legally give you an opportunity to abort. Being my mother, she said, um, let me think about it. That's what we are told. And she did go and think about it, and she returned and said, no, it's okay. I will pray that I'm safe. And if my baby is not so all right, then that's okay. So the short story is that baby number 11 was born. And guess what? Baby number 11 is a neonatal specialist. She is saving babies in incubators. That's the power of faith, the power of intention. And those are the things that I took from my mom, despite everything else that happened to me. My quiet father who believed in the power of silence, my mom who had the faith, but both our parents loved us so much and they knew that they couldn't give us the riches of this world. We wanted fashion, we wanted that, but it wasn't going to happen. We wanted to eat nice things, the burgers, the fish and chips. It wasn't a possibility. They just gave us a healthy food in Gomazi, spinach, what you call spinach, but the homegrown morojo, barb, and all of that. And we have learned then that attachment to things is is not so important to be attached to worldly things. And let me end up by saying that that's what carried me 20 years later when I was declared terminal because of this tumor, which was so huge and sitting on my brainstem, affecting all my vitals, and it caused a double stroke. And even though as a little child, I would be so irritated listening to my mom praying day and night. And there was this thing she used to say that I know that I'm going to die. I don't know when and how and what will kill me. But when that moment comes, Lord, please save me. Give me time. Let me know about it. I found myself praying that prayer in the ICU. And here I am 20 years later, feeling great. Yes, there is a damage here and there, but full of love, full of faith, availing myself, taking the risks to be on computers, to be on things because my whole thing was on my left brain. So that's where all the order, the analytics and things happen. That is why there'll always be something that goes a little bit in a different direction with my second chance in life. But what does that teach me? Live fully, love myself and others, to serve and to be grateful. So that's that's really what came. And I'd like to share also that most
You
of
know that
us,
we have a little limited time, eh?
yeah. I just wanted to conclude with that
Wrap up.
as we
Yes.
share our stories, we shouldn't forget a poetry, because poetry is also a good way of expressing yourself, of healing, and of uplifting others. So there's just a few lines of my own poetry that I wanted to close with, and it's called Finding Self. When I thought I lost everything, I found me. When I felt life sip out of me, I found me. When I saw myself walk away from everyone, I found me. When the sunset with only bad news arose with me, when I had nothing, saw nothing, felt nothing, I found me. I saw myself clearly. I had my truth clearly, and I felt my vibrations clearly. Yeah, so it can take us forever, so listening to Mami Yvonne's story, but that's what it is the power of story. So know your story, tell your story, share your story, own your story, and reclaim your story, because it heals, it enriches, and it saves lives. Yeah, thank you.
Heals, it enriches, and it saves lives. Yes. Thank you so much, Mommy Yvonne. And yeah, I'm sorry for the internet connection was not really well at the beginning, but the last
Yeah.
part was great. And is there anyone who wants to share something about, what makes Mommy Yvonne to Mommy Yvonne as a storyteller?
Um,
Yeah.
can I,
Yeah.
Mama Yvonne, I love that. Um, um, what makes it so beautiful is that you're vulnerable and you are so authentic to share that with us. For me, when I miss home, I make pap, but I can't find Marog where I am. But yes, it's just lovely. I love your story, and I love how you and how we all have to share our stories, how important it is. I'm so happy I'm here today because I had a rough time, and Clara luckily reminded me, and I said, how do I get on? Because yeah, but I was just like, you know what? I'm meant to be here, and thank you for this. It
Thank
was
you. Thank
just
you, Lani.
heartfelt and great. Yeah.
It's wonderful, wonderful. Um, Anyone else? One more. Yeah, Donna?
Well, I liked Mama Van, the fact that you touched things other than just, if I want to say, telling stories orally, that you also gave examples of writing, poetry. I think of song, People write films. I mean, you can tell stories in very different media of what's comfortable with you, what may align with you and your other talents or skills. And so, just to not pigeonhole when we talk about storytelling, it's often you think of it just being an oral way of passing stories, but definitely other means, books.
Yeah.
Essays, things like that. So thank you. That's a good reminder.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And I think also what always strikes me is the way she brings it. That is the tone of her voice. It gets louder, it gets softer, it's very passionate, and then she starts talking with her hands, and then it's a more serious topic. So she really almost dives into who she, it's that whole combination of that also makes you feel I need to watch. It's not just listening, it's not just the content, but it's the whole picture of what is happening there. Yeah. Richard, did you want to share something?
Very, very briefly, you already highlighted one of the things that I observed, the passion behind the story. It was all through in her voice, in her gestures. But also I learned something that sometimes we think we don't have stories to tell. But listening to her, literally each of us can build a story. If we go back to history and remember the life we had with whether it's our parents or whether it's our relatives, she remembered small but key things, the faith that the mother had, the hard work that the mother put in. Really, I thought that, yeah, each of us can build a very nice story if we just take time and go back to the time that we were young with our folks.
Yeah, thank you. All comes back. Yeah, wonderful. Good. I see there's also some messages in the. Um, don't really have time now to do that. I am shortly going back to the presentation um, because this part I do want to share the storyteller. Well, we did talk about Mommy Van, so that's good. So and I think what Mommy Van always ends with, know your story. Do you know your story? Do you own it? Do you share it? Do you talk about it a lot to share it with others and to have that learning experience? Have you reclaimed that story? Well, how do you want people to feel after you have told them the story? Uh, and what do you want them to take out of it? Your message, that is very important. If I look at, what Wize Move Society is going to do about this, storytelling is, the center of what we feel the 5 roles. So we are going to design the program. It's already on the way. So why? Your story matters, finding your story, the architecture of a meaningful story, owning your story, telling your story, of course, voice presence, practice, stories and others. How can you get the story of others out of them? What Patty actually mentioned, with as a social worker, and the wisdom well, sharing and celebrating. So this is something that we're working on. I'm not going to, yes. This is the Wize Move Society. Some of you are already members, not all. Wize Move Society is a movement, an online community for elders. The vision arc for us important from individual elder to that collective wisdom. That is what it's all about. And then in the end, global change. And I really believe that we can make that happen. And this Margaret Mead never doubted a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So I think there's a lot of wisdom there as well. Yeah, what do you need? The willingness to show up. And there is the watering hole again with all these animals. So I'm going to end here. Is there anyone who wants to share a little bit? I'm always very aware of time. So we are almost on the hour. Anyone who wants to share something?
Thank you, Mama Vaughn.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful, as usual.
As usual, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from my side
Indeed.
also to say thank you so much and thank you for your patience and just for embracing me just the way I am. And I'm learning also a lot from yourselves as well. So
Thank
let's
you.
just continue to tell our stories.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And I know, for some it's the first time, for some others they are here every week. Richard, you will see, for those who will be joining us in Nairobi, you will also meet Richard, and he's also going to be one of the speakers at our conference. So far, our only male speaker, but really happy that he's joining us there. So, thank you all for being here. Thank you all
It's
for
a
joining in the
pleasure.
conversation, and hope to see you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you,
Bye.
Ingrid, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Have a lovely day, evening.
Yeah.